over the last few seasons, we've had some of the most compelling MVP winners and compelling races. Players such as LeBron, James Harden, Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, all put together MVP caliber seasons where they could have easily won, but their contemporaries were just that much more impressive. I mean, last season, LeBron James had one of the greatest seasons I've personally ever witnessed. I mean, it was his 15th year. He had the shoes that was just beautiful to me. He had like 8 40-point games in the playoffs. The man averaged like 28. The dude was just a beast, and he didn't even win the MVP. And I wasn't even mad because James Harden just deserved it, and it was just a hard race. Some people forget Russell Westbrook sustained a second straight triple-double season, and he wasn't even in the conversation. So it just shows you that the MVP is getting tougher and tougher. But enough with the top dogs and people that you would expect to win MVP. In this video, I want to talk about my dark horse MVP winners, or at least players that you wouldn't, think to be in the MVP conversation. And mind you, I'm not putting Giannis, Anthony Davis, or Kyrie Irving in this list because even though they haven't won it, they're still players that I think you could expect to at least be in the race because they've been MVP worthy. So I'm not putting them. So don't say where's Giannis, because they're not going to be there. Anthony Davis could have won it last year, so that's that. And Giannis and Kyrie Irving if he stay healthy. So that's that. Number 5. Nikola Jokic. Now, I'll be honest, it took me some time to realize how good Jokic was because he plays in such a small market in Denver, and it's not really that magnified because his games aren't really on TV. But if you've ever seen a half of one of his games, he's a superstar. He's just different. I mean, he can pass. His vision is excellent. He can put the ball on the floor sometimes. He can put his back to the basket. He can stretch the floor. He can shoot threes. He really can do it all. I mean, he's a superstar if you actually watch him. And last year, the Denver Nuggets were just one game away from making the playoffs, and they just lost a brutal, heartbreaking game to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game that would have put them in the playoffs. But in that game, Nikola Jokic, this dude did everything possible to win the game. He put up 35 points, 10 rebounds, 4 big threes, and he's a big man. I mean, he was incredible. And before that last loss, the Nuggets, they were on a 6-game winning streak where, they were making a serious push for the playoffs, but they just didn't get in. And if you look at his March and his April, 2 of the most important months of the season, especially if you're in the West because you're fighting for that playoff spots, he averaged 21 points, 11 boards, 6 assists on 44% from deep as a big, and that's definitely MVP numbers, and he's only 23. I mean, I'm serious, man. He's definitely going to be in the MVP conversation for at least the next 2 to 3 seasons. Number 4, Joel Embiid. I wanted to kind of get the bigs out of the way because they're a little boring, outdated, whatever in today's game. I mean, they're the yawns of the list. Like, you don't really want to hear about bigs, but these 2 are definitely 2 of the most dominant in the league. That's why I put them on this list. I'm going to keep this kind of simple because it's Joel Embiid. Everyone knows how great he is. Joel Embiid's MVP chances to me all relies on the success of the Sixers this year and obviously his health. Last year, Joel Embiid only averaged 30 minutes a game, and he was still able to average 23 points and 11 boards. If his body would allow him to play, maybe 33 to 35 minutes like an Anthony Davis, and if he can stay on the floor and play 70-plus games. Last year, he played 63, missed basically the first round, well, a big part of the first round. If he was able to stay on the floor, he will inevitably be in the mix because he's just that talented. All the Sixers had to do was get Ben Simmons last year, and they automatically elevated to a playoff team, a 3rd seed, and a first-round win. So next year, if they can stay healthy and they can dominate the East, Joel Embiid will be in the MVP conversation. It's just that simple. Number 3, Kawhi Leonard. Now, like I said with Joel Embiid, I'm going to kind of make this simple too because at the end of the day, this is Kawhi Leonard. The last time I seen Kawhi Leonard healthy and active, he was playing like the best player in the league or at least challenging for it. In the 2017 playoffs, that was the last time I seen the Kawhi Leonard that I know, the Kawhi Leonard that we know. He was dominating the playoffs. I mean, he literally looked like a mini Michael Jordan. He mastered the intermediate game. His mid-range was automatic. He was hitting 3-pointers back-to-back, and then he was going back on defense and checking your best player. Like, that's not an easy thing to do because that's so tiring. Ask Klay Thompson. I mean, Klay Thompson, he doesn't even carry the offensive load, but it's still so tiring to do that back-to-back, possession after possession after possession. And in that first-round series versus Memphis, where they were actually in a battle, they went to 6 games, I believe, Kawhi Leonard averaged 31 points, 6 boards, 2 steals on 55% from the field and 48% from deep. I mean, he was just incredible. And in the Western Conference Finals, where they met Golden State, before Zaza Pachulia took Kawhi Leonard out of the series, the Spurs were up by 21 points in Game 1, and Kawhi Leonard had 26 points in only 23 minutes played, man. He was definitely on pace to start entering MVP talk for seasons to come. In fact, many reporters such as like Chris Broussard, they even picked, Kawhi Leonard to win MVP last season, but the whole mystery, injury and all that stuff happened, so he didn't get to play. And this season with Toronto in a contract year where he just left $200 million on the table in San Antonio, and he has to prove that he can still play if he wants that big contract that he will be, demanding in 2019. He's going to have to perform, and I think he will. Now, number 2, Devin Booker. The greatest thing about a player like Devin Booker, man, is his youth. He's only 21 years old as this video is up, and he's already one of the more dynamic players we have. Last season, Devin Booker became only the 11th player to average over 24 points before turning 22 years old. Kevin Durant did it, he won an MVP. LeBron James did it, he won 4. Michael Jordan did it, he won MVPs. And there was 4 other Hall of Famers on that list. So yeah, Devin Booker is already in great company. Also, I believe the Suns, if everything clicks, they can be a dark horse playoff team. This year, they surrounded Booker with pieces that can help him reach like the next level of his career. I mean, the Suns loaded their roster up with versatile wings who can shoot and switch screens, and they drafted the most dominant collegiate player all last year with DeAndre Ayton. And let's not forget, he can stretch the floor because he can hit a 3 or 2 too. So it's going to be crazy to watch Devin Booker's improvement. I feel like the ceiling for a player like Devin Booker, or maybe not the ceiling, but a player he should kind of model his game after in today's era, is someone like a James Harden, because they're about the same size. And James Harden, he's mastered the pick and roll where he just naturally matches up with slower defenders and he just abuses them. So if Devin Booker can kind of do that same thing and master it, his numbers would skyrocket and he would be in MVP conversations. So with all the complementary pieces he'll have surrounding him this year, with Trevor Ariza, championship experience, 3-and-D guy that can shoot, Josh Jackson, he's still developing, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, he'll definitely be one of my dark horse picks to win MVP, or at least be in the convo. And number 1, Victor Oladipo. Not too long after the season ended, there was a headline that said, Victor Oladipo is transforming into a mini LeBron James. And in 2016, he played for the MVP Russell Westbrook's Thunder, where he was just a complimentary piece. But then he got traded to Indiana and completely transformed his body and ultimately his game. The day after the Thunder were eliminated by the Rockets in 2017, Victor Oladipo committed himself into getting into the best possible shape of his life. I mean, in the 2017 offseason, he said, quote, "I'm going to work and work, and I'm going to work some more." About 3 weeks later, you can see his body. He was just in superb shape, and it resulting in his game elevating. Last year, Victor Oladipo averaged 23 points. I think he made an all-team defense. He took his team to the playoffs where he took LeBron to a 7-game series, something that Paul George couldn't even do because the year prior they got swept by Cleveland. This year they went to 7. So Victor Oladipo, he's doing something that Paul George couldn't. He made the All-Star team. Victor Oladipo was actually an All-Star and a valuable player last year because of the transformation. So this year, the sky is the limit. Literally 16 minutes after the heartbreaking loss to LeBron James in Game 7 this year, Victor Oladipo texted his trainer and said, "When do we start?" And he's ready to take it to another level. And, after his transformation last year, we have every reason to believe that he could do it because he did it last year. So this year, we don't even know what he can do. Not to mention last year with Indiana, when teams finally realized that he was a star in this league, he started getting extra attention, double teams, traps and stuff like that. In Indiana, they didn't really have another playmaker that can kind of take attention off of him. But this year, they added Tyreke Evans to kind of take that pressure off. So we don't even know what he can do in this league with another playmaker and a good big. And he has confidence because of what he did last year. So he's definitely in my list for dark horse MVPs. But that's the list, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's my top 5 sleepers for MVP this year. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment who did I miss. If there's another player that you think can be a dark horse MVP, let me know and tell me why. Tell me why you think that. If you like the video, make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys follow my social media sites. Do all of that great stuff, guys. And until next time, stay tuned, Jay.